I don't know. We can talk about reptiles.
Sure, we can talk about reptiles.
I like reptiles.
I know.
Gators are cool. I don't know. When
did you learn about gators are cool? When did this become a thing? I knew you were like always into horses.
Basically, Zaboomafoo and obviously Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I used to watch the Discovery Channel all the time after school.
Okay.
And also, if I was watching cartoons and Zaboomafoo would come on, they did this episode where it was an alligator. And they're like just talking about them. They're so passionate about it. And I always watched Steve Irwin and all his reptiles and all that. And I was like, this is really cool.
Right.
And I don't know. I just think their passion just kind of resonated with me in a very strong way. And like just learning about snakes. And I never was the type of person to be afraid of any of that.
Right.
I always liked frogs. I always had turtles. Like even in grade school. I don't remember, but I had turtles.
I had no idea what pets you had. No.
A lot. Birds, turtles, dogs.
I knew you had pets. I'd heard that you have various pets, but I didn't know what exactly.
That's never changed in my life. Okay. I've always had crazy.
But I think the composition of your pets has changed over time.
Yeah, well, that's just because I don't live with my mom anymore. It would be very similar if I still lived with my mom, because my mom doesn't like snakes. She doesn't like lizards. She doesn't like anything snake-like. She likes frogs. She likes turtles. That's fine. That's cool with her.
Okay.
That's about where that goes. No snakes, no lizards. If they have the tongue, no. She's like, that's a no for me.
Okay. So you weren't allowed to have any of those. Mm-mm. But you were like super into them.
Yeah.
When you were growing up.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's like, I can't wait to have this thing.
Basically, as soon as I moved in with my boyfriend, basically, then I was like,
time to start.
I can get a bearded dragon, I can get leopard geckos, I can get savanna monitors, I can get all that.
Yeah, but was it like now I can do this, or I'm gonna move out so I can do this? Like,
it was like I can do this. So my mom moved to St. Thomas when I was still in high school, actually, and I didn't want to go because she was moving to town, so that means I would have had to sell my horses, I would have had to sell everything.
Right.
So I was like, that's not happening, because we moved from a farm to, she was moving into a house in town. And I was like, that's not,
Right.
So his parents had a farm.
Okay.
So I packed my shit and I moved there.
In Alberta?
No, that was actually outside of Merlin.
Okay.
And then a few years into it, I moved out to Alberta. But before I moved out there, basically it was, actually while I was dating him, he had got me a bearded dragon before I even moved in with him. But I kept it at his place.
Okay.
So, and then I was like, I want another one.
Okay.
And then I want another one. And then I had like 20 bearded dragons.
Wait. Why? Did it not why?
Because several reasons.
What's the difference between 16 and 20? What pushes you to go for the extra 4?
So, what's one more? That was kind of the...
Well, okay, then why not 1,000?
Because it was a lot of work at 20.
So then that's the difference, right?
There was a line.
Okay.
But I wanted to breed them.
Okay.
So after, I had 2 as a pet, and I was like, wait a minute.
I can have more for free.
They're both females, and I was like, if I kind of want to get a male. So I got a male, and then I was like, what if I put them together? And then that male wasn't interested in the one female, so I was like, I at least want a trio. So then I got the 4th one, and then it kind of rolled, and then got into this big ball of 20 lizards.
Right.
And then I had this species, and this species, and this species, but I didn't get a snake yet because Rob's parents, who we lived with, did not allow me to have a snake. So I was like...
So you asked, and they're like, no.
Yeah,
it has a tongue, and...
flat out no, because his dad... my balls were bigger. He was afraid.
Okay.
I don't get it, but okay. So I hid one in the closet. So I got my first corn snake.
Wait. You bought a snake and hid it in the closet at his parents' place.
I did. So I got a little corn snake,
But why? Okay, what made you think I must do this, even in the closet?
I just wanted one so bad. I always have. I've always wanted a snake, but it never was allowed. Always was interested in them. If I seen garter snakes outside, I was picking them up.
And it finally happened.
Yeah, so I got... And then I was like, oh, well, I'm getting away with this one. Why not get a second one? And I got a ball python, which was my very first ball python.
Also in the closet.
Also in the closet.
Okay.
And because back then I wasn't too familiar with their care, so I had a light on it, and they seen the light coming from the closet.
Okay.
When it was... Like, usually I would shut the light off for the night, and they opened the closet door, and there was 2 enclosures with snakes in them. And I was like, oh.
So what happened after that?
I was told to get rid of them immediately.
Was this discovered while you were in the room, or like...
No, I was away at the movie theaters with a friend, and
you came back to...
I got a text, and they were very parental to me.
Okay.
So I was in a lot of trouble. They were like, yeah, you can come home right now, and you can get rid of this before I do.
Oh, sick.
Is what they said. And I didn't want anything to happen to the animal. It's not their fault. So I was like, fine. So I gave them to my dad to take care of. I'm like, can you please have my snakes? And he got bit by one trying to feed it. And then he was like, my dad was like, yeah, I'm going to sell your snakes. So he sold my snakes. And then I had moved out to Alberta at that point, and I had one lizard out there because I couldn't bring them all with me. And then that kind of ended the era of it for the Alberta length of time. I think it was like, 4 years? And then when I came home, we moved into our own place, and I was like, snake time.
Snake time.
Snake time. Now I'm at like 53, and I have like
53.
Yeah, and I have probably about 12 clutches.
What's a clutch?
It's like a litter. It eggs.
Okay. All right. I've seen those pictures. Is that the one you're talking about? The one with the lines on top?
Yep. Yep.
All right.
We're actually close to ours. But yeah. So I just kind of kept going and going and going, and I have no plans on stopping the snake thing.
So, is there an end game, or are you just going with the flow?
The end game is to have a facility and have it all. Well, it does pay for itself at this point in time, but I would like to.
It did not before? Sorry, because I know you've been like selling them for a while, right?
So it's kind of like if you bought a female dog and you wanted to breed it, you have to wait until it's old enough, right?
Right.
Same with snakes. So I bought all of my females very young.
Yeah.
So last year and this year, they just started coming to size to be able to breed and stuff. I had a few clutches from like adult females that I had bought. This season will be my best season. So I have 24 females paired. I would guess about 15 of those are going to actually lay.
Okay.
Because they just kind of decide what they want to do.
So how many eggs would you get, or how many like live snakes would come out of each one that's paired?
On average, if it's a healthy clutch and they're fertilized eggs, because sometimes they can just lay eggs and they won't be fertilized. That happens. Right. On average, females will lay about 5 eggs. So they can lay up, I've seen 13 eggs.
Okay.
So it depends on the size of the female, realistically. So like a smaller female might have 5, whereas a bigger female might have 10.
So you're looking at least at another 50 or so snakes being added to your collection.
Yeah.
But are they sticking around, or are you sending them out?
So I would like to keep them all, but I don't need any more males.
Okay.
So basically what you do in the snake world is you'll hatch out what you think is the best of the clutch. Like, because they're all going to be different for the most part. You might hit like the same genetics. They all have different genetics that can be stacked on top of another. Okay. So
to make like different colors.
Yeah. So like a single gene would be like a pastel.
Okay.
And another single gene could be an orange stream. So if I put a pastel and an orange stream and bred them together, I can make a pastel orange stream.
Yeah.
Which would be a 2-gene animal.
Okay.
And then I could take that pastel orange stream and then put it to a GHI. And then I can make a pastel orange stream GHI.
Okay.
and then I can just keep stacking.
Right.
And it makes
and
the snake
more
different.
like different genes you have, the more combinations you can put together.
Exactly. And then like the snakes just become different, and then you don't know what's going to come out. And it's kind of like you're making art and you don't know what's going to come out. It's like you're putting a whole bunch of paint colors and then shaking it up and then
right.
letting it.
But you know to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, like we have an idea. Like back when the ball python breeding was just getting ahead and we were learning about all these different genetics and discovering them, because they all get imported from Africa.
Right.
That's how all these genes came in. Like the orange dream came in looking like a normal snake, and then it got bred and it was like, you know what, these babies are a little bit weird, and then they would hold them back, get rid of the rest, and then they would breed them together and like, oh, this is a gene. Like this is something that is breedable. Like you can replicate it
right.
again and again. And basically, that's what we just kept doing with different genes. If something looked weird, we would just hold it back and then breed it, and then that's just kind of how genes came about.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting, I think, and I think that's why I got into the breeding side of it and not just pet keeping, because I could be creative with it.
Solid. So this facility that you talk about, is this going to be a snake facility, or are you planning to have more animals?
Reptiles in general, and I would obviously like to get horses like on the side. Like I would like a few outbuildings, like a boarding facility for horses, maybe train some horses. I would like to have a greenhouse for gardens, because I really like plants and stuff. Anything living I like. And yeah, like the facility for the snakes and stuff, I would like it to be a breeding facility, but also I like iguanas, I like monitors, I can't have any in Chatham where I live, but I would really like to have a caiman alligator.
Okay.
That would be really cool.
I remember I asked you if you wanted a Komodo dragon, and
If I could.
yeah, just move to Florida. I'm sure you can have a lot more stuff down there than you can here, right?
They're getting a lot of rules and regulations.
I honestly feel like that would be the best place for you, though. Like
Australia.
I guess that's you could move to Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would totally move there.
So what's stopping you?
I just think my family's all here, and I can't bring my snakes there.
But Florida, there's definitely a chance for that, right? Because you ship animals all the time.
I do ship animals all the time. I try to ship within Canada for now, but maybe next year or the fall. It's very expensive to import or export a snake to and from the States.
I see.
So it's probably like, it's doable. Like a lot of my friends do it. I have yet to do it, but it's about $500 just for shipping.
Let me ask you about this. So this might be just a slight change of topic. Invasive species and pet keepers. I'm sure you know probably more than me about this. Do you want to talk about this at all?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So basically, invasive, it doesn't happen too bad in Ontario as far as reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is like the pinnacle of invasive
snakes, yeah.
Because it's such a perfect environment for
snakes.
The humidity's great because it has all the bodies of water.
And they have wild people down there. They're like, yeah, let's get a bunch of snakes. Oh, never mind.
But the real problem isn't necessarily the invasive animals. Like, realistically, the media portrays it so much worse than it actually is, because it's kind of like fear-mongering with snakes.
How so?
Well, it's just like they'll take snakes that have already been caught and euthanized, and then, but before they euthanize them, they'll use them in YouTube videos, like pulling them out of a storm drain, which that's not where they found the snake.
Right, so they just stuff them in there.
Yeah, just for views. So they can get, and then the news will cover the story, like, oh, they pulled this big snake out of a storm drain. And, like, it literally happens because, so snakes have, kind of how, like, we have a unique fingerprint, they have unique markings.
Okay.
Most of the time. Like, you can identify a snake to some sort of degree just based off their markings.
Okay.
So, like, my ball pythons, their markings are going to be ever so different, and I can actually tell the difference even if they're the same genetics. Same with like a Burmese python out in the Everglades. You can see, like, there was a guy that posted pictures of a Burmese python that he had caught and euthanized. And before he euthanized that snake, he had posted a whole bunch of videos of catching that snake in a different way.
Okay.
So I know that's kind of confusing, but he basically used the snake in a few videos before he killed it.
So you think like he's like putting him to sleep between the videos, or like how do you think it's happening?
Well, to slow them down, he probably refrigerates it.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's still living, and then he could be like, oh, look what I found. Or he'll be driving along the road, talk to the camera in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden a big python's going across the road. Like, they're really not as common as you think they're to find
So you think they're just planting them for videos?
Yeah, for views.
Yeah.
Because it gets them, it's a revenue for them.
Right.
They get money,
obviously.
and then the news, the media covers it, and then people are like, oh, looking up pythons or whatever the case may be. But it's...
But let's say outside of the whole, like, social media, like, you know, atmosphere. Like, what do you think about, like, because they are invasive species after all. Like, they don't have any natural predators in Florida. So you're just going to, like, eat and grow bigger and wipe out all the native stuff, right?
Yeah, the only thing that's probably going to eat them is maybe an alligator time or two.
And they beat those too, right? I've seen...
they can.
Yeah. So...
It's honestly the cats there are
they eat
worse.
the cats?
No, they're worse. The stray cats are killing more wildlife than a Burmese python ever could.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because they kill and then they don't actually eat it for the most part. They do it out of just...
For sport.
Yeah, they do. Like, out of predatory...
Cats are kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, like, they kill more of your native wildlife than anything else.
Right.
And that includes the illegal immigrants that the Burmese pythons are there. Like,
so you think the pythons are going to get bad rep in relation to cats?
Yeah, I think it's a lot, like, the media portrays it a lot worse than it actually is, and cats are a major problem anywhere, really, for wildlife.
So, like, this really brings into question, like, all of pet ownership as a whole, does it not?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't like having outdoor cats.
Right.
Because I just know the devastation that it can cause for the environment. And snakes are actually really good for the environment, invasive or not. So, like, if you had a rodent problem and those rodents chewed wires in your home and that caused a fire, snakes can help prevent that type of stuff. Seriously.
I guess that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, so, like, it's actually been proven that just killing snakes is just a lot worse for everything around the whole ecosystem.
But I think, like, that's maybe a limited way to look at it, because, like, by that same logic, you could be like, if we just had frogs all over the country, like, everywhere, you wouldn't have a mosquito problem because they eat them all, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's really, like...
It's to a degree.
Yeah.
But, like, for the amount of snakes that are around, there's really not a whole lot of snakes around here.
Right.
So, I guess it kind of bugs me when that happens. Like, if I see someone kill, like, a garter snake, like... But they also eat the frogs so they don't overpopulate.
Right. No, there's actually a balance here, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in Florida, they don't have any, you know...
No.
Like you said, it's a perfect environment for them, which is not here.
For sure.
You know, they don't have any natural predators and tons of food. And, you know, so it goes.
I definitely think it's an issue, but I don't think it's as big as the media does portray. And that's where I gained a lot of my knowledge from it, right?
Right.
From the media.
So what do you think about, like, you know, obviously that both iguanas and snakes get hunted a lot too, like, for food in Florida. What do you think about that?
I think that it's fair. I mean, you can't release something that is so invasive and can harm your ecosystem further. So I understand it. I don't particularly like it.
Right.
But that's just because I love the animals, right? But I understand
So you think this might be a personal bias?
Yeah,
like if you were at a dinner table and they put, you know, some beef next to you and some snake, you would never eat the snake.
No, I wouldn't eat the snake. More so because I just, ew. I think it's more a gross thing for me with that one, but
Why do you think it's gross?
I just know what they eat.
What do they eat?
Rats, for the most part, rodents, and then rodents don't eat great. Like, so
Alright,
it's just
fair
kind
enough.
of like a
Cycle of eating shit.
yeah. It's like cows; they eat grass. They eat. It's a
Well,
little bit
pigs have a
different.
similar argument, right? Lots of people don't eat pig because they're like
They eat a
their own
lot
shit
of
and whatnot.
like a lot of farmers will feed them slop and
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
yeah, I guess what they kind of eat and kind of, I don't know, it's their nutrition or whatever. Plus snakes, they're all muscle.
Right.
I can't see that being very good. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you've
I
ever
don't know.
eaten
I've
snake.
never had snake either.
Same with horse. I kind of, and it has nothing to do with me just loving horse. Like, if you want to eat horse, that's, you know what, you do you.
Right.
But they're very muscular, so I can't see it being very good
Right.
compared to beef
Fat
or
tastes
something.
good, right?
I mean, it does. It
Yeah.
adds flavor.
Definitely.
So I just can't see it being a very appetizing thing. That's just my opinion.
Unless they start doing to horses what they do to chickens. It's like stuff them in little spots and fill them full
Yeah.
of hormones.
Yeah.
Get them nice and fat.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it for them because horses are very expensive to feed.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
cow you would probably get, I would assume you'd get more meat versus muscle
I would think so.
off a cow than you would a horse.
No, but again, like that depends on the type of lifestyle you put on the thing. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like chickens are not supposed to look like what they do now in these factory farms. So
No, not at all.
yeah, I can see something similar happening to horses if they were more popular as a meat. But luckily they're not.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah, I agree. But, yeah, I just probably wouldn't eat snake.
solid.
Just,
Just put that out there.
and yeah, it's not like a moral thing. It's not like, oh, I love these animals, I'm not going to eat it. By that biased, I wouldn't eat anything. Like, I wouldn't eat any animal.
Right.
You know, but, like, it's the idea of it's gross.
Okay. No, I get that. I can totally see that.
Like, nah. Pass. Horse, it might be more biased.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of bias, what if I were to ask you, what is your all-time favorite animal?
Crocodile. Saltwater crocodile.
Saltwater. Why? Any reason or?
They're just badass. They are. They're
Why?
just...
Because they rip off each other's arms? They do that, right? Or am I thinking of the
No,
wrong-
they will.
Yeah.
If one gets another one's arms, it'll do the death roll, and that arm's coming off.
It's so sick.
I think it's really cool about them is, if you believe in evolution, they are the one thing that is hardly
Apex.
changed. They're just perfect.
They were built right from the beginning.
Yep, they're just perfect. They don't need any other further assistance. They're good.
They're good.
They're good.
They're here to stay.
I love horses, but the wow factor for me would be seeing a saltwater crocodile.
You've never seen one though. Like
I've seen gators. I have never seen a saltwater crocodile. And I think that I would be in for, like, not a rude awakening, but, like, some sort of awakening of being like, holy shit.
where do you have to go to see these?
I don't know. Maybe there's probably some type of zoo that has a salty.
Do you know where they're native to?
Australia. There's a few different places where salties can be. Australia is the one that's coming to my head right now.
Okay.
But yeah, they're just massive.
Sounds like you gotta get yourself a trip to Australia.
I know. I would love to go on one of the tours to see all the salties. That'd be really
Maybe not
cool.
right now. Actually, they're opening up their tourism too, right?
Are they?
I think so. It might be hard for you to get back here, but
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
they're doing
you
like
can-
concerts and stuff in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, you cannot come home. That's what they would say.
Well, you can, but it's just gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, 14 days,
Yeah.
quarantine by yourself.
Yep.
That'd be boring. I don't know what I would do.
I can imagine because I had to do it.
Did you really? Oh, man.
Yeah, I was in my basement for 2 weeks. Tons of fun.
I'd be bored out of my mind.
Yeah, well, after the first few days, I moved my computer down there. I'm like, all right, we're back to like normal.
Yeah.
That's when it really hit me that my normal is actually just quarantine with a computer. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my rude awakening, I guess.
Well, there's some people that are like, I don't even feel any different with this quarantine.
Same
It's the
thing.
same.
Welcome to my world.
I just have to wear a mask sometimes.
Yeah. Or if you don't go outside, don't even have to do that.
Yep. Yeah,
That's the way.
for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I would love to go to Australia. It would be a dream come true. I've always wanted to go to Australia. Steve Irwin, I want to visit the Australia Zoo.
Yeah. No, Australia's a cool place to go. You know, especially if you're not scared of shit like yourself. You know, growing up myself, one of the like snake-specific fears. This is like a cliche, but you know, the snake coming out of the toilet.
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
especially for guys. You know, I feel like it's slightly more scary for guys than girls.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. Well, there's like so when I used to get my boudoir photo shoots done in Windsor, that guy, the photographer, I can't remember what country he's from, but he said he was could have even been Africa.
I don't do it.
He's got an accent. I can't remember, but anyways, he said there was a lot of venomous snakes where he's from. So that is why he's afraid of snakes, because
Right.
in his head he associates them all with venomous.
That's another thing I was gonna ask you is I've noticed you don't have any venomous snakes, right?
No, there's laws against that, and just the kids.
So those are the two reasons.
Yep.
It's not like a personal thing.
No, I would totally have one if I could.
For the facility, though.
Yeah.
All right.
I want a gaboon viper.
Oh, what?
Gaboon viper, they have the biggest teeth out of any snake. They're like,
You're just looking for like the most badass thing you can find.
I know, but isn't
It's
that
like,
cool?
what's a murderous creature that I can find? That
I like
will slay-
conversation pieces.
Here's my death machine.
Yep. Basically, like, oh yeah, well, here, that thing make you bleed out.
Solid. Or
Yeah.
make you know, shrivel around on the ground and die of paralysis. Choke on your own spit.
Basically, like, I would be more afraid of viper species than I would, like, an elapid, like a cobra.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Cobras, they follow movement, and they're very, you can just tell what they're gonna do.
Yeah, predictable.
Predictable, that's the word, thank you. But yeah, they're very predictable. Like, that's kind of like how snake charmers can do it. What
Right.
they're following, if you notice, a snake charmer will be going like this with his flute or whatever instrument that is,
Right.
and the snake follows the movement. That's the cobras, which is why cobras are such a, but like a viper would just look you dead in the eye and be like, what are you gonna do?
So it's counterplaying you.
Yeah, and then the viper will just,
Are they faster, like, naturally as well?
oh yeah. A viper can strike this way, can strike this way, can strike this way.
It's like a queen,
Whereas a cobra
basically.
this is a cobra.
Right.
That's how they strike. They strike downward,
So it's predictable because they have one move.
basically. They don't really, I mean, I'm sure there has been a couple cobras that are, like, 619. Like, I don't, like, like, I don't know, like, they're just like a bilaka. And they just do what they want to do. But as far as the generalization of them, they're pretty predictable.
But you think that might have to do with, like, just the amount of damage they can put on a rat or something? So they don't really need to be good?
So cobras, their whole, I guess, body system is based on movement, like how they catch their rodents or how they defend themselves. Whereas a viper senses heat. They have
Right.
heat pits on the side of their face. Same with majority of pythons except for 2.
Okay.
So
the other two also follow movement.
yes. So like I actually have one of the 2 species. So there's the black-headed python, and then there's the Aspidites ramsii, which is the Woma python,
Okay.
both from Australia.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're kind of like an elapid where they same with corn snakes, they don't have heat sensors. They have, movement and stuff like that. Which is why they're more likely to mistake anything for food.
Right.
So like if something is moving, they're like, "Oh, is that food?" Because they don't have the heat sensor, whereas like a ball python, it's probably not going to strike at my water bottle.
Right, because evolution would tell you that most things that move are food.
Yeah.
Right? Until you have a child on a tricycle.
Unless...
Which I guess technically is still food, but...
Yeah, unless I'm like poking it with a water bottle, my ball python's probably not going to strike at a water bottle. It's going to strike at me. Because I'm the heat source.
Right.
So, and that actually improves their aim too if they're striking at something. Because they know exactly what they're striking at.
So the venomous snake laws you were talking about, they're like specific to here or Ontario?
They kind of vary within Ontario. Every city, town has their own bylaws.
So there are places you can go to.
Yep. I think Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked into it too much, but I do have a few buddies that have some venomous snakes around that area. I have no idea if they have them legally or not, so...
I see.
But there are a few places in Canada in general that you can have venomous snakes.
Yeah, there's definitely people who, break the laws in terms of this stuff. We had a neighbor across the street from us. She had, I want to say, 9 cats. Something like that. It was like a crazy number of cats.
Too many cats.
And yeah, I could safely say she was a crazy cat lady because she was actually a little bit cuckoo. And her cats would just run around everywhere. Just imagine how many cats it is to see 9 cats in front of someone's house. But she lied to the officials as this is my brother's, that's my uncle's. These are like guest cats, half of them. So they think the limit was like 4 or 5. So
that's too many cats, and then they kill the animals.
Yeah.
That snakes get the bad rap for.
Yeah.
And we circled back just there.
There it is.
Yeah, I like cats. They're just one of my least favorite animals.
Oh my god. Okay, so you just don't... There's no animals that you don't like.
I don't...
Cats are at the bottom of your list.
If you consider it an animal, I don't like centipedes.
Yeah, no, I don't consider them animals, no.
Yeah, okay. I don't mind spiders. Like, if there was a spider in there, I'd be like, hey, buddy.
I don't chill with centipedes. Not really with spiders either.
No, see, spiders, they have... It might not seem like it, but they do have a lot of mannerisms, and they can be predictable in their movements.
So are you thinking of getting spiders or anything?
Like I would like a tarantula at some point.
I saw that Metallica tarantula.
It's cool, right? I want one. And then there's the cobalt blues. They're a very similar looking one. I like the blue. The ones with the blues, that's what I want.
Okay.
I don't know many species name. I know rose hairs. I know black hairs. Like, there's curly hairs. Like,
but not yet.
Not yet. No particular reason, just I haven't seen a Metallica for sale.
No, you don't have any tarantulas so far.
Not yet. So, I did have one, it was a rose hair, but she was mean, so I was like, go away. So I sold her.
Mean how?
Well, I couldn't even clean her enclosure without her, running at me.
I see.
So then I was like, that's not... No.
See you later.
Yeah, I was like, I want to hold you.
So have you had snakes that are like that?
Oh yeah, I got a bunch of dicks down there.
And what do you do with them? Just
poke them. I don't know. Seriously. Seriously, if one comes out at me and they're gonna try to bite me, I'll bring my hand around and poke the top of their head, and then they're like, oh.
So how many times you've been bitten hundreds of times?
Oh yeah,
right?
It doesn't hurt. It's think of Velcro that's angry. It's seriously, it kind of, if you were to take a piece of Velcro and just push it on your hand for they're that long.
I see.
That's you're. Sometimes I get bit and I'll look at my hand, I'll be bleeding, I'll be like, oh, who got me? I don't even know what it is.
Which one is how big is your biggest snake?
Probably. So I weigh my snakes in grams, but it's probably 5 foot. Not ridiculous.
That's pretty ridiculous. That's almost my height. Definitely taller than you, right? So. Typically having pets bigger than yourself is a little bit ridiculous.
She's maybe about that wide, though. So it doesn't... she's curled in a ball all the time. So she's maybe, in a ball. This big.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not... To me, it's not big. My buddy has a 17-foot reticulated python.
17 foot?
Yeah, and that's just one of his big girls.
Oh, my God.
He's got, several other that are around the same size.
And they just chill in the house, right? They don't do they have an enclosure?
Yeah, he's got big custom ones. They're 9 feet long. And
For
then
a 7, so it's basically folded in half all the time.
the snake, so what it does, it goes around
Yeah.
the enclosure, and I don't know. That's just how a lot of breeders have them.
So do you think like snakes are chill living in enclosures like that? Or...
Oh yeah, they don't have anything in their brain that suggests that they have any emotional capacity or...
Right, they don't want to go anywhere. They're just like, where's my food?
They don't have any... they're intelligent in kind of like instinct. They have a lot of instinct. They know that they have to hunt. They know that, you know, this is danger. They know how to defend themselves, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But they don't have any emotions. Like, my snakes don't love me.
So what draws you to them if you know there's nothing coming back?
I don't know. I just kind of like them. I think they're cool. I think they're really misunderstood. I think that they're...
Well, are they misunderstood? You just said they have 2 modes, is eat and hunt, and like...
They are misunderstood about how, like, people call them, like, aggressive is a word that I don't use for snakes.
Right.
They're defensive. They
mind their own business until you show up.
Yeah, and like they're not gonna bite. They're definitely not gonna hurt you, especially around here. Like if there's a venomous snake, obviously leave them alone. But they're not gonna chase you. They're not gonna come at you like to purposely harm you. Like they don't have that in their head. They don't have anger. They don't have malice. They don't have any of that.
Right. Well, I think like part of it might be like people. Not everybody's as knowledgeable as you, right? So when you see a snake, there's just gonna be a chance that it's venomous, right? If you really don't know shit about anything, right? Yep. So it's best to like distance yourself.
And like so the most common way that people get bit by any snake is trying to kill it.
Yeah.
Seriously, like that's like if you don't want to get bit, just leave it alone.
Well, sometimes you can't, right? Like say you have cat like that, and you know there's a snake in your backyard. Right, you got to deal with it somehow.
Well, it like a garter snake, for example, is not gonna.
Yeah, obviously. But say you live in Florida and there's a 9-foot python.
Yeah, well then
you call someone.
Then
right?
you call someone. But that I agree with. But like I just in Ontario, there's no need to kill any snake because none of the snakes are gonna hurt you. I've heard people like saying, "Oh, fox snakes will drop out of trees on you and try to kill you." No.
Batman style.
Like that's not gonna happen, and if they do drop out of the tree, wasn't intention to go on you. That's the opposite of what that wants.
Okay.
That, but I don't know. It's just I find like grown men running away from snakes funny, and they'll just go up and pick it up and be like, "Hey, little dude," and then just go move them. Like they're not here to hurt anybody. They're just here to eat their food and just hide.
Right.
That's all they want to do.
Yep.
That's what they like doing.
They got nothing else to do, right?
They're basically, and like they don't have any type of emotion, like I said, no anger, no malice, no love. Like they just are what they are. They can be really docile though.
Right.
Like I think they get used to something. Like if it's kind of like if a cat's seeing the same thing every single day, they're going to get used to that being there. Whereas like the first time it might freak them out. If I hold a snake that's never been held before, it's probably going to freak them out.
So what would they do? Like they like try to get out? Or
yeah, they try to get away. Most snakes, when you pick them up, they might pee on you. They might.
I didn't know that.
They might turn and try to bite you. Ball pythons, I haven't really had that happen with me. They're more of like they'll ball up. Hence ball pythons.
But you think like peeing on someone is a natural defense mechanism that they have?
Because it smells.
But like, why would this be like evolutionarily? Like, who would they pee on in nature?
So like, if a cat grabbed a hold of them and they
pee on them,
they would emit that smell, which comes from their.
But they're a strangulation death machine. Why would you pee on a cat?
Not all snakes. Not all snakes.
Pythons, are they not like?
Pythons will, but like, let's say a garter snake. Garter snake's #1 defense is to pee.
I see. That's so weird. I had no idea.
Yeah, so like if something tries to grab them, like a fox or something, and it pees in their mouth, or the smell, no, seriously, and then the fox is gonna let go because it tastes bad and it smells bad.
Right.
That is their defense to live.
Did you know that flamingos pee on their legs to cool off? That's also a thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know if it's actually true, but I've heard that.
I don't do that.
Yes, but it might be worth a shot. Depends how hot the day is.
Might be easier for you to do than me. I would be like, oh, well, here we are.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that. That's cool. I learned something today.
Same here. Learned a lot. Well,